Hello everyone, Blue Star Saber here once again to do another Willow review. This time episode 7, let's see, the Beyond the Shattered Sea, in which is a follow-up to the last episode where Kit was drowning and Eric met this mysterious girl, and we'll find out let's see how she survives that and who this girl is in this episode, as well as a few more revelations and all that stuff. This is also the This is also the last episode of the Disney Plus series that was shown to critics early, who did reviews of the episodes that you see on YouTube, in which either they loved it or hated the show. But yeah. And this is arguably probably the longest episode yet, as I saw on the Disney Plus. It lasted 60 minutes, so that probably also includes the credits, so it's probably more 55. But nevertheless, arguably the longest episode, and we'll see whether or not that's done some favors or not. Anyway, on to the actual episode. Now, since it's the new year, and this is also my first review of the new year, I'm going to try and do things differently. Instead of just going through the entire narration, I'm going to give my thoughts while I'm also describing parts of the story at the same time. We first dive into Eric, who is speaking to the woman who calls herself Lily, I believe. Let's see who seems to be a no-nonsense girl, if you will, and she would, and apparently she's from Kashmir, that place with all the paladins that I believe is from that has been referenced quite a few times in the first Willow film, and let's see, they try to introduce each other and why on earth they're being kidnapped, where Eric reveals that he is the prince of I always forget the name, damn it. Prince of Tirsin, if you will. And during the course of this, he seems to be trying to woo her, or he might be just unintentionally, but she's having none of it. Now, I'll probably say, I like that we're getting a bit of focus on Eric. I am not exactly a fan of the dialogue between her and Liv when it comes to him trying to see her saying, "I'm having none of your wooing attempts to fall in love," and all that stuff. And I don't know, it feels like a too modern dialogue that doesn't really feel like it should belong into a fantasy. I get the message, I'm not here for Prince Charming, but I feel like it could have been better handled with a lot less modern dialogue and all that stuff. That's one of the problems that the show has always had and all that stuff. But yeah, let's see. But I do like that Jenny just wants to get out of here and all that stuff. I do like it eventually when Eric tries to say, "Oh, I have a girlfriend," kind of thing with Dove and all that stuff. But frankly, I am starting to wonder about that. I'll get more into that one later on the episode. But I do like how he talks about how they were kidnapped. He just says, "I was kidnapped by the monsters." I believe the the Gales and all that stuff, and that's why he's here and all that stuff. And tries to explain the situation about how he tried to escape but couldn't and all that stuff. But I do find it interesting that he then hears echoes about, let's see, in the pool of water that he drank from me earlier, and sees his sister and jumps in trying to save her. I quite like that, as it shows the sort of bond that siblings kind of have, despite their probably arguments we saw from the first episode. I like how the hands are trying to reach each other, but of course, Alora is able to, after performing her magic to sees that she did from last episode, has managed to get Kid to jump out and all that stuff and just save them just in time before the cave collapse. So yeah, So I think so yeah, and her magic worked, and I think I saw Willow being impressed, which I did quite like. So there's that. One thing I should probably note that let's see, seems like after when she's done that magic or some point in the cave, Alora's hair starts to turn back to the sort of ginger, maybe brownish color that or red hair that she had as a baby, and I kind of like that. It's more like it's in many ways you could say it's like with to her. It seems to be with her better use of her magic and all that stuff. She's returning to her original self, if you will. And I think, granted, I'm not sure if the hair represents the power, but it could be what it's implying. But still, I do like that little thing. Though, granted, I don't really like the sort of design that she has. Let's see, that sort of blue jacket she has. It feels like too much like a modern day clothing. But when she's not wearing it, I feel like the design is fine. But yeah. So yeah, I'm just saying that now. Anyway, the group eventually arrives at what is called the Shattered Sea, which Willow tells them they need to cross, and they're willing to do it. But I think during this time, by the way, Borman is wearing the sort of like the armor and all that stuff. I quite like how a design that it looks on him and all that stuff. I would like looked very well done. I think it's probably, if you ask me, the best he's looked. But yeah. But before they could even begin to cross, let's see. I think Borman is trying to make as many excuses as he can about when to use the right time to use it throughout the episode. And but yeah, I'll get more to that a little bit later. Let's see. However, Kit is a bit too weakened to go for any further, and she collapses, despite trying to ignore Jade's concerns and all that stuff. And let's see. During this, they end up going to a sort of nearby cottage just on the outskirts of the thing, and they meet a. Let's see. They meet a man called Zeb, who looks like he's pretending to be dead at first. So I think Laura thinks that he looks like dead, but no, he's actually awake. And who offers them food, and Willow doesn't really quite like the food, but you got Borman eating it, and I kind of like that. I think some of them try and hide it on the table. It's like funny. As Willow said, can you get me some salt just to try and excuse not to eat it? So that was kind of funny. But we end up learning that this that Zeb was apparently a warrior of Casimir, who has lost his mind and can't remember exactly what quest he was going on, whether it's to save a princess, find magic item or something. I don't know, but he seems to have lost his mind when trying to cross the South Sea. And I like how it sort of builds tension between the group as they know that this is going to need to go, but it shows. But it's giving them a bit of a warning what might happen to them if they're not careful in the Shattered Sea, and that they might end up like this guy Zeb and all that stuff. Let's see. Anyway, and so yeah, they stay the night there and all that stuff. Let's see. And I think the guy offers some breakfast, but I think during this, I think Graydon ends up meeting like the sort of I believe it's called a mudfish or hold on. A mud man. Well, you don't see it at first, but you see Graydon pay attention to it, and I think he ends up. I probably missed through it. Scene notices that when he sees apparently a very identical walking man to Zeb in the distance and all that stuff, and telling them they need to get away. And I think he knocks out Zeb, who then I think might have transformed into the dag, which I'm not sure if Zeb was actually a real person or just as a disguise or he's just been possessed or not. But I don't know, it doesn't really, I can't recall. It wasn't really clear on that. It probably went by too fast for me to realize. I probably should rewind and checked, but that's my fault. But yeah, but we don't see Zeb, but whether or not he was actually a real person or just a disguise or someone possessed. But either way, he's been knocked out by Graydon, which was a bit of a funny moment, a bit of a whoa, I can't believe this did that moment. As the group is chased, and during that, they grab onto like a sort of like carriage thing that is being pulled by the Mud Marauder thing, and they're chasing and battling the Dag and Doom and all that stuff. As they're trying to capture Alora. You see Kit getting hit by one of those ninja stars and all that stuff. Alora's performing much better magic. And then even Graydon is performing some magic with his flute. And I do like the fact that, I suspected that he also has magic with him. And I suspected that for a while. But I do like how, he does it, and you see it's a bit of a surprise. But anyway, I believe the Doom ends up grabbing Alora, and she sees all sorts of visions and all that stuff, which we'll get to later. But yeah, but eventually, of course, let's see. But before that, we cut back to Eric, who wakes up to what was the red pool, which is now apparently sealed. He seems to still be able to drink from it or something. And he notices Lily is looking down in a path that's a light coming from inside the temple, which she tries to convince him that it's a way to escape, but Eric doesn't want to follow it and all that stuff. And they go outside to talk. And she talks about, and it's interesting because we get to learn about the secret sect from Kashmir, about this Order of Worm, which apparently is the same mark in Chamber of Dawns, and how they probably brought down how they were probably plotting this evil plot that probably might have destabilized, I think, our area. And apparently we learn that she is the Princess of Kashmir, who was also kidnapped, and I think this leads to some prince and princess kind of thing, but I don't know, it seems to be playing some sort of romance, at least between her and Eric. I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm not really, I don't know, it feels kind of forced, but yeah. Though he's still trying to convince her he's with Dove and all that stuff. But anyway, Willow and the gang have landed on this sort of little island thing. We see Graydon petting the mudfish, who he names Kenneth or something. I think based on a fantasy he's thinking in his head or something, or he's read from a love story. But I do like the design of the creature, I'll say. I think it's a pretty good design. It seems like a sort of big-eyed, cuddly fish, if you will, but with big lips and all that stuff. But I do like how we get a close-up with when you see Graydon feeding it. But it was interesting how we learned that Graydon has actually been listening to Willow and Alora's training, and has been catching some of the spells. And I do like how the exclamation Willow gets that that the reason why he could cast magic from his flute is because it's like a very personal item. I kind of like how that sort of aspect for the magic of Willow, saying the world of Willow. It's like the sort of personal items can help you channel the magic, but the magic, of course, is inside you. So yeah, now you have Graydon coming to train and all that stuff. But Alora, now I like Alora when she has this confidence. She wants to train more and agrees and asks Willow to teach her more and all that stuff. And I like the training montage where you see Willow trying to teach her to do defensive spells besides offensive and all that stuff. And you see her struggling throughout the thing. Though she also eventually ends up training with Graydon, which I also liked. Also during this time, you have Kit and Jade training, which Kit decides that, you know what, that's probably best that we train as well, and tells Jade not to hold back. The only thing I could probably say about this training montage is that I'm not really keen on the whole modern day music, where like lyrics and that stuff. I would have preferred a more fantasy-like one, but other than that, I don't mind the training montage though. Depending on how you feel about the relationship between Jade and Kit, let's see, they do eventually kiss. So if you like support their relationship, you probably like it. If not, you'd probably be indifferent to it, or in some cases hate it. I mean, I thought it was well played, but yeah, I can see if you with people either not liking or liking this. Does that eventually? I'd probably say. But let's see. But during the training thing, Alora sees the crown in her head and all that stuff. But this is also during the training sessions. Willow ends up questioning her why she's out here, and when she talks about her boyfriend Eric, Willow makes her question: "Are you actually in love with her?" and all that stuff. And I'm wondering if this is building up to the fact that. Let's see. It's implying that despite the fact that trying to save Eric is her goal, and she thinks she's in love and all that stuff, but she might not actually be in the relationship, might not actually be with him in the end and all that stuff. The series, or she might not act. She thinks she's in love, but isn't actually. But yeah, but I do like how Willow is just trying to get her to use all those personal feelings like jealousy and all that stuff to see if that just to motivate her. Let's see, because she gets a bit angry and all that stuff, and that's I think where she sees the crown and performs the spell that the crown did, and ends up knocking down Willow for the first time, but seems to be very injuring her, much to shock everyone. Let's see, which shows everyone concerned in her. I should probably mention I do like how Borman earlier was just drinking and watching an entertainment from all the times she failed to properly block from Willow and all that stuff. So yeah. Let's see. But yeah. But anyway, we cut back to like Eric and Lily, where he explains what he wants to do with Dove, get married, be a father, be a brother. Not really had much expectations. And Lily, she expressed how she wants to be, just be herself, be honest, all that stuff. And at that point, she kisses him, and he seems to kiss her back, which does feel kind of forced, but I kind of do like how Eric saying like, "It's all right now, I'll be faithful to Dove," even though you've kind of not just done so, buddy. But you probably should have stopped the kissing sooner. Now, whether or not this will cause a wedge between Laura and Eric when they reunite and any of you learns details or not, who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised the relationship with this Prit Lilith ends up causing a rift between them. But yeah, but she also ends up, but interesting, she ends up admitting that she has actually been longer than him there. Let's see, and wasn't sure she could trust him at first, but tells him to let go of his fears and follow her. And Eric probably realizes that Lilith is probably responsible for him being brought here in the first place. He starts to panic and runs as he can, but you can probably tell it's useless. And no surprise, and let's see, I knew that there was from the last episode, I knew that there was something, suspicious of her, because it's like, okay, you suddenly had this woman trapped in a prison cell thing, and clearly that she's probably some sort of temptation, though I did a bunch of theories on whether or not she was I think one of them was whether or not she was like Eric's grandmother, Balmore, I think. But glad since she kissed Eric, I think that and revealed to be like a princess of Casmere. That was clearly not the case, which probably for the best, really, especially because like if she was, that led to some really weird thing. Let's see images, but let's see weird situation. But yeah, clearly, let's see. But yeah, but I think I also said that she might be the bad guy in this, and clearly that's the case. And she's clearly planning something to do with Eric and all that stuff, and has a reason for bringing him here. But yeah, but yeah. But anyway, during like the let's see trip, I think you see Borman trying to activate the magic armor. He puts the sort of piece into the sort of circle slot thing, but does nothing, and he seems to realize that he's probably not worthy and all that stuff. And I kind of like that moment where he tries it and all that stuff, waiting for the moment because he's been trying to deny when's the right time to use it, and then eventually he just goes with it. And it's clearly that he's afraid of not being worthy. It seems like his worst fears have finally been realized, and he's upset about it. And it's interesting where that will go for his character here from here, but I wouldn't be surprised that if he ends up activating it in the end, whether or not in the next episode or later down the lines of the seasons, depending on how much the show does well and all that stuff, or if it does get a second season. My understanding, it's been averagely around the sixth most watched streaming show in the US, from what I can tell from the Wikipedia page info, but I haven't been following it too much, but yeah. I do know some YouTubers are saying about, oh, look at the declining reviews that the show has or something, but I'm not sure how trustworthy it is. Since some of these people seem to really hate the show. I mean, granted, with the way the magic montage was going, where let's see, looked a bit like the Harry Potter train, like Harry Potter magic, which I can see some people saying Willow's ripping off. But yeah. Anyway, oops. I think my there we go. But during like Willow starts getting visions of Mims, his daughter Mims being trouble before. Let's see, first in a dream before Borman wakes him up and all that stuff. She seems to be helping this like dead witty fellow Numerian or something. Or let me just get the Newellyn, seeing all that stuff. Wesley wishing for her father to be back, but ends up getting woken up by Borman, who talks about his own little dream, which I found actually kind of funny, about how everyone's laughing at him being naked, despite the fact that he apparently looks good naked. And Willow's like, yeah, I don't need that image in my head. So that was funny. So, so you see Willow trying to contact Mims, but instead gets a vision, and it looks like she's just being rotten corpse disfigured and all that stuff. She's just we got a mocking tone about him going on an adventure. Laura's just trying to tell him that he's having a nightmare and that the crown just trying to influence him. And you can kind of tell that's starting to work at him where he wants to go back and be with his daughter. And I think there's some implications that he might have lost his wife because he went off too for long in some adventures or way or something. But yeah, so that is kind of interesting at the very least. Let's see, but during like the whole, probably another thing that I should probably, let's see. Eventually, Eric seems to, let's see, during the whole, meanwhile, I think Eric, sort of, when after trying to run, it seems he's back inside the temple, seems to have like being weakened as he's on the floor, kind of thing, grabbing, trying some water there, but eventually seems to give in to whatever Lilith is trying to command him to do and all that stuff. And she seems she's performing some sort of ritual and all that stuff, so it seems like Eric is broken down, and it seems like Lilith is doing some sort of doing what she planned to do with Eric when she had him brought here and all that stuff. And it seems to be the thing that would probably corrupt him and turn him evil or something, or at least what they need to do to probably release, I think, the spirit of Balmora or the crown or something. But yeah. Which I forgot to mention, I think, some point during the episode, Elora wants to kill like the evil witch or something. And interesting enough, there's also a bit of a conversation, I think, between a few conversations that happens about, one between like Elora and Kit, where they talk about like Mad Martin and her father and all that stuff, and how she tries to, I like how she tries to assure Kit that she's certain that her father did love her and didn't favor her more than her and all that stuff. And I do like how there's a contrast about how Kit didn't really want to be a princess and Laura kind of did. And so it was like I kind of do like the sort of bonding moments these two have, as you've seen these two becoming to disliking each other to be slowly kind of becoming friends, which will pay off a bit later. Where eventually, during the thing, Graydon has been befriending Kenneth, and he's noticed that, I think, when talking to, Jade a bit earlier, that Kenneth has been a bit depressed. I think he's trying to confess a few things, but to her, though he does thank her for using magic and all that stuff. But eventually he lets the Kenneth go, and that gets into conflict with Borman. Though it's sort of like the sort of argument bits with like the group for a bit, but of course Laura says that they need to keep walking and they're almost there, like Willow says. I think during the whole thing, you have Borman admitting to Graydon that he's not the man he thought he was, but I think he tries to assure him and all that stuff. But yeah. But during the course of the walk, Graydon eventually talks to Laura and admits that he always wanted to do magic and all that stuff. He never got to realize he'd probably be on a journey with Laura. Thanks her and all that stuff. And admits that he loves her, but it's okay if she doesn't love him back, as she's going after Eric and all that stuff. She thanks him and all that stuff, but they proceed to go on the thing. And I quite like this scene where I think it's like a bit of a sense of maturity with Graydon. He's finally able to confess his feelings, but probably is willing to admit that, as we've seen him build up to like a thing, but probably realizes that Laura probably won't choose him and all that stuff. And I think it's kind of shows like a sort of a sense of mature love of he loves her, but doesn't expect her to return her feelings back, and he's okay with that. Now, granted, whether or not that means Laura will eventually come to love him back, who knows? It really depends on what happens between her and Eric. And I wouldn't be surprised if, whatever is happening to Eric, eventually leads to Laura to reject Eric and then possibly go for Graydon, but who knows? I did like the sort of building romance thing, and I think it shows a bit of the sense of maturity of Graydon, saying that even though he loves someone, he's not going to force them to love them back and all that stuff. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good character moment there. But yeah, but then probably comes also another bit of a character moment soon, where the group finally reaches the edge of the sea, but they see it's a big cliff with a waterfall going down, if you will. This is where Borman and Willow break down, and they want to go back. With Willow saying that he's not this great sorcerer and just a farmer that got lucky. And see, he just seems to be from the low point of all, and I think this is mostly due to the low point of like all those visions he's had of his daughter. But let's see, I do recall in the movie that let's see, Willow must have got lucky in quite a lot of situations, but he's always had the potential. But clearly, the self doubt is finally caught up to him, and you can just see, and it's kind of heartening to see him breaking, even though he's been pretty good at teaching Alora and Graydon magic. And I don't think he realizes it. He just needs to have more confidence in himself. Like I think his mentor tried to teach him and all that stuff. But yeah. But Alora says that they didn't come all this way for nothing and all that stuff. And she reveals that she knows that at the end of her journey, she's going to die. And she saw the vision from the crown. And Willow just confirms it and all that stuff. And let's see, and it's sort of, and you can, and I like how they both kind of break down from this. Particularly with Willow thinking that he was hoping that he could change it, but he can't. And Laura kind of wishes that she wasn't Laura. But you have Kit coming in and talking about how she ends up, let's see, never believed anything in life, but she's now come to believe in Laura and trusts her. And you get the sort of bonding, and I do like the sort of bonding moment, like you can do this and all that stuff in the hug. It's not, let's see, now it's clearly not supposed to be romantic, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jade was a little bit jealous, but I think she knows that it's just like this is Kit, because she said that, because earlier from the episode, she knows that when you want to call her, her mother told her to bring her back if, let's see, she can't handle the thing, but she realized that'd be Kit's call, but I think she realized Kit is what Kit's about to do. And they're both ready and they jump off into the cliff together. And I like how they just fall, and I do like how this is portrayed as such a huge moment for the two. And I like how quickly the group was sort of panicking what they're going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if then, following the next episode, they all jump down just to follow them and all that stuff. But yeah. So yeah, stuff like that. So or at least you get, let's see, at least before they do jump down, they will confront their self doubts and all that stuff. Particularly Borman and Willow, and then they unlock their true potential, or let's see, the magic and their that special armor. But before that, we gotta get to like the, let's see. But of course, Kit and Alora don't die, and they jump, let's see, climb out of the water thing and all that stuff. So on to their items, I think maybe they do, let's see. And they explore, and it's clear that they've arrived at the same city that Eric is, and they explore it a bit. And eventually, let's see, get to the door where door to like the building that's been tempting Eric quite a lot, and you see Eric come out, and they're shocked to see him, and they're probably a bit surprised that he's dressed in an entirely different outfit from what he's been wearing, with a new haircut, and he's just smiling at them. And it looks like a bit of a sinister smile, and the episode ends there. Okay, and yeah, that was, let's see, so yeah, so my thoughts on that bit is, I quite like how the two have finally gotten to their goal of meeting Eric, and and I do like this new look that Eric has. I think it's a lot more neat, presentable, and it's what you would probably expect more from a prince, even though he probably looked fitting for Mad Martik in the sun with the way he was dressed before. But I do like the sort of new look, as it gives him and the sword on the back, I think, as it shows him in a more serious position. And this might be his sort of bad boy look. I think he's, if I had to guess, I'd assume that he has turned, let's see, whatever that ritual has done has turned him evil and all that stuff. So I'm curious to see what will happen, as You have the two girls that have gone on this quest to say who want to personally save Eric. One because he is her brother, and the other is because she loves him, or at least supposed to. But for all we know, they may have just been too late, and he's now gone for good, or he's now their enemy, and they may have to fight him and all that stuff. And all that stuff, but we don't quite know yet. All we know is that he's now fully committed to Lilith, which will probably break Laura's heart now, whether or not that means that the romance between her and Eric is gone, and she might start having a romance with Graydon. I'm not sure, but there's that. But it's a pretty good cliffhanger. It's like they finally met the person that they've been trying to save, and and they can see that he seems to be a different person. How different, we'll yet to find out. But like I said, probably a bad guy. Overall, I think this episode is probably an 8.5 or 8 to 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a pretty good episode for the most part, but there are some moments where I could have done without. Okay, most of the dialogue between Eric and Lilith at the beginning about, oh, I don't need some Prince Charming kind of thing, that was, of course, cringe. Or at least that was, or at the very least, felt too like modern day standard things about what you'd probably get, what most people probably think about, let's see, the tropes and fantasy storytelling. I mean, I get the idea, but I feel like it could have been less 21st century kind of thing, a bit more setting in a sort of fantasy, but oh well. But it is what it is. But I do like sort of like the build up of like as Eric starts to try and learn more about her, she reveals more about herself, like being a princess of Castamere. Sort of tension between them and two. It looks like let's see, Eric's trying to commitment to Dove, but seems to can't resist them, Lilith, though it's probably going to be what eventually leads to the downfall of that relationship. But when he realizes that she brought him here, he tried to flee, but clearly Lilith eventually has managed to break him down, and has arguably have made him submit to like whatever temptations the place had for him. And it's clear, and I think it's probably gone evil. So yeah, I like the training that Laura and Willow go through, and the same with Kit and let's see, Jay with like swords for those two, and magic for Willow and Laura, and also the fact that Graydon finally got magic of himself, and I like the explanation that we got, and I had a feeling that it's going to be the case. And I kind of do like the fact that now he's got magic. It shows that he can probably be more useful in fights and all that stuff, as he's more of just being on the sidelines, just passing out weapons and just trying to avoid the thing. I also like how he was a bit more observant when he realized that that there was two versions of Zeb and all that stuff, and they were in danger. I like the bond he had also with the mudfish. He named Kenneth and all that stuff. Good design, by the way. I thought the chase scene was pretty fun. Granted, I find it weird how there's only like two members of the Gales going after the group instead of like all four at once. It's weird how that seems to be the case. But yeah. But yeah. I do like how I also liked Borman's self-doubt and all that stuff. Other than that, let's see with the magic armor and all that stuff. And I do like Willow's fears about his daughter. And I like the friendship between Kit and Laura, where they jump together, and she sort of now believes in him and all that stuff, given the fact where they were at the beginning of the series. And let's see what else was there. What I liked. The cliffhanger was pretty good as well. Really like finally meeting their brother, like Eric again. So long. Oh yeah, and I think probably what I think was also a pretty good character moment is Graydon admitting his love for Laura, but is willing to admit that that she may not love him back, and he's okay with it. So I thought that was a good character moment. So yeah, overall, I thought it was a pretty good episode before the finale. Let's see of this season. Whether or not it's the entire show itself, I probably doubt it. There's probably a lot more content to go through, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get more than one season. So yeah, but it'll be very interesting to see how the whole reunion between Eric with like the two important women in his life, like see his girlfriend and his sister goes down. Is he their enemy now? Is he still their ally? We'll have to wait and see. So yeah, overall a pretty good episode, and I enjoyed it for the most part. The only things, like I said, is probably some of the modern day dialogue between Lily and Eric. And I feel like the modern day music in the montage could have been better with more fantasy things. So yeah, probably took a few points down because of that. But yeah, otherwise I did quite like some of the other more modern day humor dialogue with like a Borman saying, let's see that dream about me being naked, and Willow's like, don't want to hear it. So yeah. So overall, a pretty good episode, and I am curious to see what the final is. And once that's over and done with, I'll probably be able to watch the Bad Batch, and do the season 2 episodes on that day, because the Bad Batch is back on, and I'm hoping to review those episodes, but I'll probably do those tomorrow. But yeah, overall, a sort of 8 to 8.5 out of 10 episode. Good setup for the finale. I've enjoyed the show for the most part, but I can understand why some might not. But yeah, overall, I'm Blue Star Saber, sign off. Thank you for those who end up listening to this review, and I hope give me feedback if you think this new method of me summarizing parts of the episode and then giving my thoughts afterwards, instead of just summarizing all at the beginning and then giving my thoughts afterwards, works for you or not. But yeah, bye for now, and I'll see you again next time for the last episode of this season of Willow. Bye for now.